Hey guys, it's your favorite Donabout here, and today we have a 2 versus 1 scenario. Monsterverse Godzilla and Monsterverse Kong evolved in Beast Glove versus Ancalagon the Black Dread. So without further ado, I'll see you guys know how we do this thing. We get right into the meat and potatoes of the video. But first things first, thank you to everyone who voted, and I'm actually shocked that you guys picked Godzilla and Kong. Well, hope you guys are very much disappointed about this one. So, to start off with the Monsterverse duo, Godzilla and Kong, where do they scale? Do they scale relative to each other? And the answer to that is easily, they would scale to the dwarf star level. However, let's go with their highballs, being solar system. Now, this is important because a weakened Godzilla, barely even at, probably barely even like, maybe at 70% of his power. I mean, he never recovered from the Ghidorah fight and hasn't even rested since Dominion properly. So, yeah, he's running a bit low here. So Godzilla was able to punch through the Hollow Earth, and the Hollow Earth consisting of a energy source, which is actually pretty close to that of supermassive black holes. Now, this is important because the gravitational inverse of it is pretty similar to that of black holes. Now, many people do use this as Godzilla tanking it or being able to walk through it quite casually, but keep in mind this is a biological component in all kaijus, as even kaijus lesser, and I mean very much lesser than Godzilla and Kong in general, or even the bigger titans in general, have been able to fly through this Hollow Earth inverse like it's nothing, or this gravitational inversion like it's nothing here. So again, it is more of a biological component than a durability feat. However, be as it may, Godzilla being able to punch through this with his atomic breath is actually pretty impressive here. Possibly also gaining speed as it went into the Hollow Earth and definitely hit where Kong was landing somehow, which in my opinion doesn't make sense, but then again, it probably was just underneath Japan somehow. But anyway, that's just how the Hollow Earth works here. But with that being said here, Godzilla Evolved would be stronger than this, as obviously he is 20 times his base, or 20 times the energy he can hold here. Now, before we get into this, obviously, I'm probably going to address this in a much later video as I talk about the MonsterVerse stands in general, and how they're probably one of the worst Godzilla communities of all time, in all honesty. But hey, that's neither here or there. No, it is not higher than Thermo. He's more in control of it, and he's not going to explode like he was going to when he hit his critical mass stage. So, with that being out the way here, Godzilla Evolved here, being 20 times stronger than his base, actually being at full strength, or at least somewhat at full strength, because again, I don't think he properly rested himself this time, or at least he was in a much better position than he was in the original here. Godzilla Evolved was able to compete with Shimo. Now, while Shimo is physically stronger and was confirmed to be able to ragdoll in almost one shot Godzilla Evolved here, Godzilla being able to at least use his, heat, or at least the higher state of his evolved state here to heat himself up and break through Shimo's ice here, is actually pretty impressive. Considering Shimo is not only able to cause the Ice Age within minutes, but Shimo's actually able to freeze on an atomic level, which is actually pretty impressive. And keep in mind when she did the whole Ice Age thing, she didn't cause it in something like that would take like a long time, or basically the Ice Age wouldn't have happened in a long time. It was happening in minutes or hours even. Like it probably even going to be seconds in all honesty. And again, Godzilla being able to take attacks from Shimo, even attacks that should be able to one-shot him. So, yeah, pretty impressive here for a character that would scale to planet at his lowest ends to around dwarf star level, then to her higher ends of solar system. Now, what about Kong? Now, believe it or not, in the novelization here, Kong was actually able to interrupt Shimo's beam and then box him up in the novelization. And yeah, we are going to have to talk about that pretty soon as well, because again, it just doesn't happen in the movies. He's just kind of there till Godzilla can help him. Now, with that being said here, Kong with the Beast Glove which is an upgraded version or upgraded model of Mechagodzilla's tech, post Hollow Earth energy. Now, keep in mind, we do see glimpses of Kong swinging it and the glove still having some of that Hollow Earth energy. Now, factor in the fact that Kong, being as strong as he is, should be able to beat down on certain monsters, probably the likes of Muto Prime, maybe even being able to somewhat beat a 2014 to beginning of 2018 Godzilla, before he got the Sarazawa nuke and before he got hit with the Oxygen Destroyer, obviously, Kong should be somewhat able to fight against these kind of Godzillas, or at least these versions of the G-Man himself, with obviously later versions being able to completely stomp him out. And then we have the sheer fact that Kong was able to overwhelm Godzilla, catch him lacking, and then proceed to actually knock the good old boy in a dazed state for a limited amount of time. And with Kong also being able to dodge and being able to outmaneuver the atomic breath on multiple occasions, with Godzilla's atomic breath being comparable to Cherenkov radiation, which even underwater is able to move at light speed. This will put both Godzilla and Kong in their reaction speed, not travel speed by the way, in the relativistic or at very least light speed. So, with that being said here, I think that does it. I mean, they really don't have too much going for them, in all honesty, when it comes to their hacks and abilities. I mean, Godzilla has his pink spiral breath and can amplify it to another level. So, yeah, he has that. He supposedly has the nuclear pulse, but I'm not seeing it too much in this form here. But we'll give it to him as a defensive means, so it should come into handy here. And we'll also give Kong the axe. So, with that out of the way, let's go for their opponent, the Black Dread himself, the mightiest dragon on Middle Earth, or to ever exist in general in the Middle Earth history. Now, Ancalagon himself was the mightiest of Morgoth's army, easily putting him above, well, every other dragon on Middle Earth, and above the Balrogs. Now, the Balrogs themselves were capable of going toe-to-toe and stalemating the Aegir, and being able to drive back and beat, well, somewhat beat, Ungoliath. Now, starting off with Ungoliath here, Ungoliath would actually get to those universal levels of feats as she was able to consume the light of creation. And this is actually important because the light of creation filled the entire universe, including all the stars and constellations that were out there. Ungoliath consumed it all. And again, she got beat. Obviously, you have to spit it back up, and all that good stuff there. But again, the fact that the Balrogs were able to push her back and even save Morgoth from her, again, says a lot here. Now, the Aegir. The Aegir themselves are some of the highest beings in the Lord of the Rings mythos or cosmology, right? They exist in a timeless and spaceless void and are able to shake it quite casually. And they are on such a higher plane that they look at the material world and just look down upon it. The Aegir were so powerful that they even crafted the weapon that was basically meant to kill Ancalagon, which was Arundel's sword. Now, this is actually important, right? Because again, the Balrogs were able to stalemate the Aegir. And I mean, they went to war with them, stalemated them, and then eventually it just broke off, right? So, with Ancalagon's defeat at the hands of Arundel, this was no small or easy fight where he just dodged him and then he just stabbed him, right? No. You see, Arendel's sword, I should say, was enchanted by the Aegir. So again, he had like complex multiversal magic within that sword, right? And then it was enhanced by the power of 3 sun jewels containing 3 suns. All right. So Arundel, who also possessed a ship that could cross the void instantly, had this long, dragged out fight with Ancalagon. Now, judging by the translation here, some of the stories say it took weeks for him to beat Ancalagon. And if that is the case, and it took multiple attacks to fall Ancalagon with that very sword, that means Ancalagon, even at his lower ends, is around the multi-solar system department. And again, that's the lowest you could get it. But I think that kind of wraps it up here. Obviously, he has fire breath, and obviously that will put his speed at inaccessible to immeasurable as he's keeping up with Arendel's ship. So, without further ado, we can actually begin the breakdown. Now, what I find very interesting about this matchup here is that, again, I'm trying to figure out how y'all actually chose Godzilla and Kong. Again, you know, not many people know about Ancalagon the Black Dread. And again, it's very understandable here. And then again, there's the one side of me that has just been dealing with a lot of toxic monsterverse stands over on TikTok, and I'm just kind of over it. But again, you know, that is no offense to those who just chose and didn't know. But here's the thing, right? They have nothing against this dragon at all. The King of Monsters in the Eighth Wonder of the World would get stumped out. Imagine being beaten by somebody who all they need to do is just pinky flick you. Like, it's not even about size. It's not about weight. It's just straight up, like, they're out of their depths. There's nothing they could do to harm Ancalagon here. Plus, again, this is a dragon that was born of magic. Magic and dark magic at that. And they can't even harm him. They don't really have too many things in the monsterverse that are magical in nature. The best and probably the closest one you can get to it is Mothra. Maybe. Like, it is a very big maybe. You could even call her magical. And the thing is, right, they're dealing with beings that can literally consume the light of creation itself here. The fact that Ancalagon scales above these beings and is literally contending with some of the top tier heavy hitters of his verse. And the fact that it took prep to beat this dragon. They had nothing that could stop him. None of these beings in that time period, no one could stop that thing. Except Arendelle literally having to equip himself with a magically enchanted sword powered by 3 stars. And even having a ship that could cross a infinite void with no time and no space. And yet, the thing about it is, right, it took him weeks. It took him days, probably a full week just to put down this dragon. That's not even getting to the other parts about him. His footsteps were earthquakes. His fireballs. His fireballs were meteor. His wings were hurricanes. And it's actually pretty interesting because I do wonder what Godzilla would actually see on an energy level as well. Would he be able to tell that Ancalagon is not like them at all? And would this cause him to have a little bit of fear? Because, I mean, if Godzilla can see on an energy level, right, or can see energy in general, then what would he see if he saw Ancalagon on that kind of level? Would he see dark magic? Would he see that he doesn't operate like them? And the funny thing is, they don't even beat a Balrog. Again, hey, it is what it is here. I mean, Ancalagon kind of just steps on them. And then imagine if he goes against the entire verse. Matter of fact, we could probably throw the entire monsterverse at Ancalagon, and it still wouldn't make a difference. There's really like only a few Godzillas I would actually say are able to beat Ancalagon. That would be Heisei. And again, if you guys watched my previous videos, yes, Godzilla Earth does have a fair shot at beating him. But again, that's a 50-50 one. Ultima, as an avatar, that's a maybe. But MonsterVerse Godzilla and MonsterVerse Kong, they're ants fighting against a dinosaur. But that's all I gotta say for here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and y'all have a blessed day.